Good morning, everyone. Good day, wherever you are in the world, depending on the time and where you are on this circling planet. This is Andy Revkin. This is Sustain What, which is a frequent, not daily, exploration of pathways to survival and sanity in the time of pandemic. On Sundays, we kick back from the headlines and just try to share stories, and it's more about art and heart than data and decisions, because there's enough time during the week to get at that stuff. To start off here, I've got David Ross up in Beacon, New York. I've got
Andy.
Karen Brooks, who's a wonderful presence in our... David and Karen are both part of Breakneck Ridge Review, which is an entity we started, I don't know, 5 or 6 or 7 or 100 years ago. 100 COVID years ago.
I think it's almost 10 years ago, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, and it's a community around music, which is what we're building here on a day-to-day basis. And Kurt Steger, who's a paleoecologist, paleoclimatologist, and a great teacher up at Paul Smith's College in the Adirondacks, and a fantastic musician with a very special banjo you'll see later. So Kurt, it's great to have you as part of our little zany project here. Second time. How are you doing up there?
Honor and a pleasure. We got between 1 and 2 inches of snow on the ground.
Yeah, we had snow and it all went away. Yeah.
Just proves global warming's a lie, right? We lying.
Oh, that, right. Yeah, Kurt knows a lot about climate history and how it relates to climate futures. And today, though, again, is more about music than anything else. So, David, you were the first to sign up for this slot, and you've got some stuff to do later in the morning. So, what song was on your mind this morning?
Well, there are a couple of songs that I've thought about for today. Given that it's Mother's Day, I think it's about, talking about the people who are critical in our lives. Some of them are mothers. Many of them are. Mm-hmm. In my life, mothers have been really important to me. And so I thought I would sing a song that talks about that.
Awesome.
If not for you, babe, I couldn't find the door. Couldn't even see the floor. I'd be sad and blue. If not for you. If not for you, babe, I'd lay awake all night. Wait for the morning light to shine in through, but it would not be new if not for you. If not for you, my sky would fall, rain would gather too. Without your love, I'd be nowhere at all. I'd be lost if not for you, and you know it's true. If not for you, my sky would fall, rain would gather too. Without your love, I'd be nowhere at all. I'd be lost if not for you, and you know it's true. If not for you, winter would have no spring. Couldn't hear the robin sing. I just wouldn't have a clue. Anyway, would not ring true if not for you. If not for you, if not for you, if not for you.
Oh, man, great. Perfect.
Bring a little Bob Dylan into the picture.
Yeah, I just noticed yesterday Bob Dylan put out on Twitter, he was tweeting about the loss of his idol, Little Richard.
Yeah.
And it was interesting to see Bob Dylan was describing, he said every time he got to be with Little Richard, he felt like a boy, that Dylan felt like a boy again, even when they did a tour, I guess, in the early 90s. So the idea that Dylan is such a masterful songwriter would still feel like a boy in the presence of that royalty was kind of cool to see.
Well, Little Richard had such courage and such grace and such style and such energy. You know, there couldn't be a second Little Richard ever. There was never someone who did it. Yeah. You know, it's funny the way he responded to Prince and Prince responded to him. Of course, there was a real connection there. But, you know, Little Richard, he was the father of rock and roll, you know.
Yeah. And these lineages, right? You know, this is Mother's Day. Father's Day is yet to come. But these lineages, the passage, the handoffs that happen, you know, we're all thinking about mothers today. I lost mine just over a year ago. And the things she handed off to me included guitar. She had a guitar, a nylon string guitar that's still here somewhere in the house that my brother and I shared when we were 17. And I ended up playing it upside down. My brother played it regular. But if we didn't have that guitar around the house from her days of singing tunes at Girl Scout camps and stuff, probably would have taken longer for me to find music. So we're all in handoff mode. And it's a good day to remember all of that.
Absolutely. And look who've got with us now. David Burns is here. How wonderful.
It's very exciting. And David is a nice surprise. He's not an active emailer. I sent an invitation and lo and behold, thanks to Karen. And
I called him. And I want to say I tried to go on message, but my whole computer froze because I can only have one thing on at a time while I do this. So
you should have seen me this morning trying to walk Cowboy Ernie sites through he had some problem with his iPhone, but Barbara, his wife, we're going to use her iPhone and all set. So David Burns, that's great to have you here.
Hey.
It's nice to see you all. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah. And Karen, David, up in the corner, depending on what your layout is, there's Kurt Stager up in the Adirondacks, who you'll hear from in a bit. Kurt is a marvelous musician and a marvelous paleoecologist who studies past climates to help us inform us about what's coming and what we can do about it, both in terms of adaptation and cutting emissions of greenhouse gases. Great to have Kurt here too. Everyone out there listening, if you can feel free to comment and weigh in with some requests we might be able to get to. And do share this. So if you're listening now, share this with a friend right now so they can listen in too. And interestingly, by the way, there's another news item, Clearwater, which is a very struggling organization. We just did an honoring of Pete Seeger a week ago in this show, partially to raise funds for the Clearwater Sloop and the education projects they do. They're going to still hold they're holding a virtual festival, and they've asked Breakneck Ridge Review to contribute a 10-minute tape. So we'll figure out how to do that.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great.
And I imagine David Burns, I'm not sure if you've been in that loop yet, but I would guess there'll be some music from you going forward.
It was wonderful hearing David and Jake sing in harmony last week. That's the one thing that I miss in this setup here is that we can't do harmonies, but the two of them, of course, they sing so beautifully together all the time, but it was great. It was heartwarming to hear you guys singing from your living room.
It was.
Thank you, David.
I recorded the Rainbow Race, and I sent it to David and Lori and Melissa and Patrick, and David sent me back a harmony, and I already put it in. And then I sent it out to them. It's so nice to hear the two voices together. It's just like we miss it so much. And Patrick's now added a guitar part to it, and Lori's adding and Melissa's adding. So we're going to have that. It won't be a video because it's too complicated with all the video. Because Andy, you saw that, right? You saw how difficult it is. But it's not hard to do it's not hard to add the music parts in. So that's good. We can have one video and all of us singing.
Well, Pete Seeger once said, "There's no such thing as a wrong note so long as you're singing," and I proved that by sending that part to Karen.
It was wonderful. It was wonderful.
David needs to be a little louder, Andy.
I was thinking, yeah, David, could you have a way to boost your gain?
Move closer to your microphone, maybe.
I think I do. I think I do.
You can always call in Jesse, the tech whiz in your household.
Tell you what, I'm going to duck out, hit a few buttons. I'll be right back.
Okay, cool. Karen, so can you offer us a mid-May melody? Karen deals with sheep and other farm chores there in rural Massachusetts, and it's always welcome when you can kind of take a break from the paddocks there. If you can maybe take us on a tour later this morning again, that would be awesome.
I'll try. We had snow all day yesterday, but but they are anxious to be out, so I think they'll probably be out. I wanted to sing this for the mothers and for the mothers who are gone. I know Melissa's mom passed this year and they can't do a memorial. Andy's mom. There's a lot. My ex Chris Burke's, his mom. It's like a lot of moms are really important. So this one is one Melissa and I have sung together, but I've sung it 1, 2, okay. Wind chimes on the front porch. Wait, I'm going to take off my headphones.
That's okay.
I'm learning this thing. Wind chimes on the front porch. Bells inside the clock. Organ in the corner. Tunes from a music box. We sang while we were cooking or working in the yard. We sang although our lives were very hard. There was music in my mother's house. There was music all around. There was music in my mother's house, and my heart still feels full with the sound. My mother taught piano, but my sister had the ear. She could sing the harmony of every tune she'd hear. Now I don't claim much talent, but I always loved to play, and I guess I will until my dying day. There was music in my mother's house. There was music all around. There was music in my mother's house, and my heart still feels full with the sound. Those days come back so clearly, although I'm far away. She gave me the kind of gift I love to give away. And when my mother died and we'd sung her last song, we sat in the living room singing all night long, singing la 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 la, singing the old porch songs, singing the old torch songs, la 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 la, singing the songs to send her home. There was music in my mother's house. There was music all around. There was music in my mother's house, and my heart still feels full with the sound.
Bravo. Beautiful.
Thank
I'm a little
Thank you.
emotional right now. That was
Sorry about that, Andy. I thought that might happen.
so with that in mind,
Melissa was going to try to listen. Yeah.
Kurt, could you save me from my
Absolutely.
emotions?
There's nothing like a banjo to break the mood.
Here's David back. David, can you test your audio? Can we hear you?
Am I any better now?
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah. David Ross, can you just say something? I just want to make sure we're a little bit balanced here. And we have our first poet in the house too. I see. Oh, and Ernie's. I just want to say hi to Ernie Seitz. There's Ernie. It's going to work.
Good morning, Ernie.
And Ernie, you'll be on in a few in
Hi,
a bit.
Barbara.
Hi.
This is
Barbara.
great. So Ernie Seitz, where are you guys? You're over you're not in Warwick, New York or somewhere. Where are you located? Ernie.
Brewster, I think.
Somewhere. Oh, I hope they're not, maybe they're frozen. It's good to see their faces.
Well, it is cold out.
Yeah, it's slowing down all those electrons. And Andre Kodrescu is in the green room, so we'll get to.
We don't have any sound on our. You mute us?
I hear you. We hear you. Can you can't hear us? Everyone say hi to Ernie so we can hear if he
Hi,
hears us.
Ernie.
Hey,
Hi,
Ernie.
Barbara.
Hi, Ernie.
Hello.
Can you hear any of that, guys? Maybe they'll have to check back in. Hey, Ernie, can you try to log out and log back in again? We'll get it right. It's all,
And I want to tell Barbara, because she's more techie, no offense, that there's a private chat, and I'm going to give you guys some tips in that private chat, okay?
I don't know if we're being instructed or not.
I know you don't like that, but
Okay. All right. So I'm sorry, Kurt Steger up in the Adirondacks with your banjo. Can you offer a tune for a bright morning, at least here in the Northeast? We have sunshine and warming temperatures after our little snow squall, and the little reminder that the Arctic is not too far away.
Yeah, really. Well, my mother's still with us, and we were really lucky that she was visiting us here in the Adirondacks when the COVID happened. She lives in Maine alone by herself, and she's 86 years old. So we've just been really, really happy to have her here with us. And so this morning on Mother's Day, we had a breakfast with her, and we were reminiscing about camp songs we used to sing. Our family was involved with youth camps in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and on. So Mom led the singing, and that's where I picked up music. So we were thinking of tunes that are best done in isolation or in a youth camp. So we could do one of those. We made a list of the tunes we used to do. One of them was I've Been Working on the Railroad, because it has the banjo in it. And then, of course, you know how it works when you're talking to your mom, you find out some family history, and it turns out her grandfather was a lineman on the railroad in Pennsylvania. So this is in honor of Mom, and she may come and say hello later in the broadcast too.
That would be great.
Right. So I'm sure you all know this. So if it doesn't sound that great, you just use your brain to fill it in or sing along. So this is in honor of Moms. I've been working on the railroad all the live long day. I've been working on the railroad just to pass the time away. Can't you hear the whistle blow? Rising up so early in the morning, and to hear the captain shouting, Dynamo, you're home. Dynamo, oh, Dynamo, Dynamo, you're home. Dynamo, Dynamo, you're home. Someone's in the kitchen with Dinah. Someone's in the kitchen, I know. Someone's in the kitchen with Dinah, strumming on the old banjo and singing B5 fiddly-I-O, B5 fiddly-I-O, B5 fiddly-I-O. Strumming on the old banjo.
We heard that in my house many times. We sang that in my house many times. And it's brightening up the morning. So I see Irene O'Garden is in our green room with Andre Kodrescu. Maybe Irene, can you hang in for another? I know you were scheduled to come on in the first half hour, but hopefully you can come on a little, where you are now till like noon. So we'll introduce the poets in a minute. And I do see Ernie in there. We have a little more time before we get to your segment. Ernie, can you hear us? Like nod yes or no. He's not nodding. Oh, yeah, good. All right, I think we're going to be cool. David Burns. So good morning from Beacon, New York. David is one of the finest all-around musicians and songwriters I know. He was a producer of Pete Seeger's last couple of albums. Has 2 Grammys sitting on a mantelpiece as a result somewhere. And he's just a wonderful human being who, among other things, introduced me to the woman who is my wife for life. So, David, you're muted, right? Oh, did I mute you? Maybe I muted you. Okay, let me unmute you.
Okay, I think I'm here.
Yeah, you are. Sorry about that.
Yeah, of all my accomplishments you mentioned, I think introducing you to Lisa was the greatest one.
Someday you can sing that song you wrote every now and then.
Yeah. So, you wanting me to sing a song? Is that what you're asking?
No, of course not. Of course, yes.
Just making sure I get really thick, Well, here's a song, a fresh one, just a month or two. And it's not the kind of song I usually sing, but I woke up with a song in my head. And when the muses stick a song in your head at night, who are you to refuse? So, and it's not about Dolly Parton, but the name Dolly is in there. So today it's in honor of Dolly Parton, who donated $1 million towards research for the COVID problem.
Pretty fantastic. What an amazing person she is.
When you're coming home, Dolly Jean, Dolly Jean. When you're coming home, Dolly Jean. You've been away so long, a life or two it seems. When you're coming home, Dolly Jean. With diamond on your fingertips and dewdrops in your hair, you danced upon the hills beneath the trees. You were like a melody just drifting through the air. That's what I remember, Dolly Jean. Was back in the time when life was a sweet wine and everything just happened in our dreams. You were laughing, you were prancing, you were naked in the street. When you're coming home, Dolly Jean. When you're coming home, Dolly Jean, Dolly Jean. When you're coming home, Dolly Jean. You've been away so long, a life or two it seems. When you're coming home, Dolly Jean. Then you roamed around, just singing town to town, for the great big crowds that paid you all the green. But deep inside your head there was a voice that always said, when you're going home, Dolly Jean. Now you're crying on the phone, your life is not your own, and the bucket's down the well, too far to see. But there's a heart as big as mine, where the water tastes so fine. When you're coming home, Dolly Jean. When you're coming home, Dolly Jean, Dolly Jean. When you're coming home, Dolly Jean. You've been away so long, a life or two it seems. When you're coming home, Dolly Jean.
Haha. I like it. I like it a lot. I just tweeted about it, David, including to Dolly Parton for her generosity of spirit and her financial generosity as well. Her song "Many Colored Coat." Remember, Connie McCardle does a great job with that tune. Another one of our neighbors and friends, and she's so known as a figure, just like a public presence, that people don't realize just how gifted she is, and that's a pattern we have that it will be good for us all to overcome. That's sort of just looking at the surface of somebody. It's kind of a really great moment. And we have some comments coming in. This is great. People are getting in there. There's Donna Nestler. She'll be back with us. Marshall Mermel, who's frequently on here. Keep up these informative and fun podcasts. Thank you, Marshall. And he's giving you some applause, David.
Thank
you. Fantastic. I want to offer a quick song before we move to the next cohort. And it's one I've played on here before. It's only, I have not recorded this yet or anything. So this is just the, hold on. It's about, I didn't realize how appropriate it is for these times. Let's see here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Like, good voice and stuff. Kaluki doesn't even begin to describe the way life feels these days. Crisis a minute has become the norm. Worries just won't go away. Bills are piled high, windows are barred. Tread on my tires worn thin. Got such an assortment of problems. I think I'm playing in the wrong key. And let me start again. Yeah, I was playing it the wrong way. Kaluki doesn't even begin to describe the way life feels these days. Crisis a minute has become the norm. Worries just won't go away. Bills are piled high, windows are barred. Tread on my tires worn thin. Got such an assortment of problems, I don't know where to begin. So I take my old dog for a 7-mile walk, stare at the clouds in the sky, sit on a rock on the top of a hill and just simply wonder why. Why are we here? Where are we headed? Is there an end to these woes? Then the sun peeks out and a rainbow appears and my dog licks me on my nose. That's when I realize things ain't half as bad as they seem to be. I got 2 good legs, it's a beautiful day, and at least my dog loves me. I've decided to take it all a day at a time. Made myself a little oath. I'm gonna start each day with a prayer and end each day with a toast. I'm gonna start each day with a prayer and end each day with a toast. I'm gonna leave the rest till later because I don't want to spare too much time, take too much time out of this great, rich landscape we've got of people here.
Well,
So
Andy,
start each day with a prayer
Andy, I know
and end each day with a toast.
I know you got people waiting to jump on here, so I should say goodbye and let you put some of the boxes towards some other people.
Well, yeah, and David, it goes till 12:30, and there's space toward the end. I don't know what else you've got on your plate, but if you want to come back around 11:45 or so, it would be awesome to see you again.
Okay, I'll see if I can do that. In the meantime, it's great to see you all, my old friends, and I guess my new friend up there in the Adirondacks.
Yeah.
And I'll sign off now and maybe come back later.
Awesome. I would love it. Don't forget. Try to do that.
Thanks
And
for
I
doing
think
this.
me too. So you've got room for others, and I can maybe stop out in the barnyard later on.
We would love to see those little lambs.
What time would you like me if it's possible?
I'd
Like
say around that
noontime?
same time,
Whatever it is.
11:45,
Yep. Okay. Perfect.
poke into the green room around then,
All right.
and
Great.
we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Do the same.
Nice to see
I'll
you
see you then.
guys. Bye.
Yeah, come back. All right, awesome.
Okay.
Okay, hold on.
Great. Take me out.
Yes, so there's we have
here
Joseph Poupe
Joseph Poupe
from Zambia.
from
Lusaka.
Zambia.
How things going there?
How things going there?
Things are all right. Are you guys able to hear me clearly? Is my sound all right? Hi, David.
Hey.
Hi, Andy.
I'm getting a
I'm
substantial
getting
echo
a
of my own
substantial
voice,
echo of my own
but
voice.
that's okay because
But that's okay because
I'll just say now sing
I'll
a song
just say
and I'll
now
shut up.
sing a song and I'll shut up.
Okay. We are at our peak of our
And hold on, I want to be sure.
And hold on, I
pandemic.
want to be sure.
Let's see,
Yeah.
Irene Garden and Claudia
Irene
Gibson.
Garden and Claudia Gibson.
So I don't see Claudia yet. Let me
So I
just,
don't see Claudia yet. Let me just
let's introduce Irene.
let's introduce Irene.
Yeah.
Irene, can you say
Irene,
unmute
can you
and
say
hi?
unmute and say hi?
I can say I am getting echoes.
We're getting that feedback going.
We're
Yeah.
getting that.
Yeah, Joseph, if you
See.
mute. Let's see. Can you all hear me?
I can hear you, and I'm not hearing an echo. I'm not hearing
Okay.
myself echo. So
So Joseph, I'll signal when it's time for you to unmute. Okay. Good. So let's give the non-singing participants in our little morning session here a great hello. Andre Kodrescu in Queens, New York, and my good friend and neighbor Irene Garden, right down the hill or up the hill from along the hill from where we are in
the
Phillipstown.
ridge, yeah,
Great to have you both with us.
a real pleasure.
And Irene, maybe you could give a little reading of what's on your mind and what you're reflecting about these days, and then we'll go to Joseph.
Oh, sure, I'd be delighted. I have a book coming out called Glad to Be Human. The pub date is the 19th of May. We live in a virtual world, so the book launch will be virtual, but I'll give you a little taste of the book today. Starting with a question of gladness. Why is it even important to be glad to be human? We may be the only species that questions gladness. The fuchsia-tinted Alstroemeria at my side has no second thoughts about gladly and extravagantly expressing herself. If cells weren't glad to be cells, could they metabolize? Could they have the little cellular barn raisings that lead to the creation of petals or peanuts or pineal glands? If atoms were ashamed of being atoms, could they even join atomic hands to make a cell for a while? They'd skip the dance and stay home. No whirling around tonight, honey. I'm just not up to making a cell. Why bother anyway? I'm not that great at doing it. And after all, cells only die, so why even make one? Humans cannot comprehend the larger body we compose, though we can feel its organs in a symphony orchestra, a sports team, a school, a hospital, a movie set. These larger selves need us to function just as we need the beings who compose our bodies. There's great joy when these larger bodies function well, because functioning well is the nature of nature. Of course, any cell, plant, or animal will tell you the purpose of life is not function, but joy. Just ask my flamboyant Alstroemeria. This coursing sense of connected well-being or gladness is the default setting of each living creature, and doubtless the inanimates as well. If it's all spinning particles, is anything really inanimate? The holographic fractal beauty of physical reality is that gladness is important to each, and each is important to all. It's a little sample.
That is beautiful.
Thank you.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. I'm really happy to have you here. And Claudia Gibson has joined us from Wimberley, Texas. Hey, Claudia. How are you doing down there?
I'm good. I had to reboot my computer. It was feeling sluggish and unloved because I didn't touch it a lot yesterday. So
So you did not have snow there, right?
no, I have to say it's like one of the, out here in Central Texas, we get about 10 beautiful days when it's not an oven. No, it's been really nice lately. It's actually beautiful today. There's not a cloud in the sky and it's about 60 degrees. So it's really lovely. Yeah.
Great.
So no snow.
And Andre, before we go to Joseph Pupe and Lusaka for a song, Andre, what's the weather report and the heart report in Queens?
Well, there are a few sirens. It's cold, and I can see the high school where Joy Ramon went, and I think David Ross may have gone near Corona Avenue here. And
Corona Avenue. I hadn't thought about Corona Avenue and coronavirus.
Yes, it's. I take walks around the site of the old World's Fair of 1966 and watch the rusted ruins of American optimism, mid-century, mid-20th century.
Interesting.
And that's about it. And people come. I'm learning to cook amazing stuff that nobody else will eat.
I know we've been cooking a lot more. Our sink fills with dishes so much faster now. It's just, which is a good thing. We've been working on new recipes. My son is a vegetarian, and Lisa and I are kind of omnivore, but we're moving more and more into that category of counting the legs on the things we sacrifice, and going down the chain from 4 to 2 and to none. So Joseph Pupe, now is the time for you to unmute your mic. Everyone else mute yours because we were having a big feedback problem. But Joseph, it would be great if you could share a song.
Claudia, hi Irene. So I'm going to share with you a song titled "We Have the Power to Change Our Path. We have the power to be ahead of the curve." And I think this is very important, especially during this time. Sitting here myself, who is gonna do something? Everyone seems to be doing their own thing. I won't run because I know I have the power to change my path. I'm a champion. I have the power.
We have a freeze problem. It's so hard. The world is so connected. Oh, here he is again. Oh, well, hopefully we can get back. Let's see if it comes through again. The signal seems to be improving. Maybe not. Joseph, we've lost you. So we haven't lost you in terms of being connected to us emotionally and socially, but we've lost your signal right now. So Joseph, we'll try to get back to you in a minute, okay? We'll try to get back to you a little bit later. Hold on. It froze again. Claudia, this is your half hour too. So maybe you could offer a tune here, whether in the context of Mother's Day or the context of May or the context of just where we are in life right now.
Well, I was thinking of that. Hold on. Do you hear me now? Yes? Okay. I have to turn up my monitor a little bit to hear me. Yeah, I was thinking of doing like a love song, which it could be to any loved one. I'm a mother of 3, and it's so nice to see Joseph and hear part of that song. It's beautiful. But we all have our memories of our parents, and those of us who have kids, and mine are big now. I was looking through pictures this morning, And when Andre said that about the World's Fair, I remember going there in 1964, and we were all like, "We'll have video phones." And I was like, and here we are, you know. How many years later doing this?
Yeah.
Learning how to do it, right? Anyway,
Learning to fly, right?
This song is a song I wrote a long time ago. It's called Sweet and Sheltered Sleep. Love's an endless journey that we navigate by heart. Sometimes our senses fail us. Then we go by faith that we won't fall or drown or split apart. We hoist our tattered sails up. I would circle around this earth and wrestle the demons of the deep, just to lay down at your side in love's sweet and sheltered sleep. In love's sweet and sheltered sleep. Life can be a distance race that we are running, deaf and blind without much sense or reason. Bring back the ruts and holes and try not to lag behind. Push on with the seasons. I would crawl down that endless road, bare scraped hands and bloody knees, just to lay down at your side in love's sweet and sheltered sleep. In love's sweet and sheltered sleep. I would live out my life alone, if at the end our eyes meet. Then you pull me close to light in love's sweet and sheltered sleep. In love's sweet sheltered sleep.
Very sweet. Whoops.
Thank you.
That's really sweet.
Thanks.
Beautiful. Oh, by the way, David got one of your microphones. The what are they called again? For the musicians who are listening? That microphone?
Mine?
Yeah, the mic. Yeah, that he bought one.
Yeah, the Yeti. The Yeti.
Yeti.
Yeah, the Blue Yeti. It's a good mic.
So the Blue Yeti. We're not fiscal sponsors, but we it seems like it's a good thing to get.
I'd like to get that endorsement deal. Yeah. I got it actually to do podcasts with, and then I didn't do that very much, and I just found out that it's really good for music because it wavelengths are a weird thing. I got a B- in physics of sound and noise at SUNY New Paltz. I didn't do very well, but this is what I remember about the sound waves can do very strange things, and it compensates. It doesn't do odd things to your guitar or piano. So
That's good to know. I may have to forsake the microphone I'm speaking to you with now. David, I know you got to go, and I'm not sure if you have any more time, but
Yeah.
David
I
Roth.
have-
And I see, by the way, I see David Grinspoon has popped into our guest chamber, and he'll
I'm
be
so
with us.
glad that Claudia is here with us. It's not a Sunday if I don't get to hear her sing these days. It's perfect.
I'm just going to
I've got
introduce
one- I've got
David
one
Grinspoon
song-
to
I've got
everybody.
one more song I'll do quickly
Great.
because we've let ourselves down and we have not done a Guy Clark song. We don't do a Guy Clark song every once in a while. The spirits won't be with us. And I've got one that kind of works all the time, but it definitely works today. I got an old blue shirt, fits me just fine. I like the way it feels, so I wear it all the time. I got an old guitar, it won't ever stay in tune. I like the way it sounds in a dark and empty room. I got an old pair of boots, and they fit just right. I can work all day, and I can dance all night. I got an old used car, and it runs just like a top. I get the feeling it ain't ever gonna stop. Yeah, it's stuff that works, stuff that holds up, the kind of stuff you don't hang on the wall. Stuff that's real, stuff you feel. That's the kind of stuff you reach for when you fall. I got a pretty good friend who's seen me at my worst. He can't tell if I'm a blessing or a curse, but he always shows up when the chips are down. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff I like to be around. Yeah, stuff that works, stuff that holds up, the kind of stuff you don't hang on the wall. Yeah, stuff that's real, stuff you feel. That's the kind of stuff you reach for when you fall. I got a woman I love, she's crazy, paints like God. She got a playground sense of justice, she won't take off. I got a tattoo with her name right through my soul. Yeah, I think everything she touches turns to gold. Well, stuff that works, stuff that holds up, the kind of stuff you don't hang on the wall. Stuff that's real, stuff you feel. That's the kind of stuff you reach for when you fall. Yeah, stuff that works, stuff that holds up, the kind of stuff you don't hang on the wall. Stuff that's real, yeah, stuff you feel. That's the kind of stuff you reach for when you fall. Yes, that's the kind of stuff you reach for when you fall. Yes, that's the kind of stuff you reach for when you fall.
Yee-hoo. I was playing along, muted.
I can see you there, Andy.
Me too. That one's in my repertoire too. I love that.
That's such a great tune.
It should be in everybody's.
Yeah.
We are, by the way. I was talking with John Teagle, another good musical friend of ours, and we are going to plot a little bit of a 6 foot apart, social distanced jam. So we're going to take this one notch closer to face sometime soon here on a sunny day.
I'd be happy to wear a mask and sing.
I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, I know you know, there are people all around us. This is a good moment again to honor not just moms, but the moms who are nurses, the moms who are caregivers, and the dads and the uncles and everyone else who's out there on the front lines. There was such a powerful piece in the New York Times this week, an op-ed by an MTA worker, a woman, Indian heritage, who's also a writer, and she wrote a piece saying we're not essential workers, we're sacrificial workers. And it was so potent and powerful, and we really are not set up yet to adequately protect both financially and physically, medically, the people around us who are most exposed, not just those working, but those who, like our dads and our moms, those who are frail and elderly and have immune compromise and who are poor. We had a session on here a few weeks ago in India where there's a city where people have jumped into the breach, an accountant, others to just deliver food to the poor families who are locked at home and can't even get their 100 rupee a day jobs in the neighborhoods. So that's something we always try to pause and honor in this show. I want to honor David Grinspoon for popping in. You want to say hi?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah. So David's focused at the cosmic scale on what we know and can learn about planets, the biology and history of planets, and how that relates to our future going forward. Is that it almost looks like one of those bottle rockets we used to launch in our backyard, but I think it's more like
it's a rocket a sculptor friend of mine made me out of a piece of reclaimed cherry wood. Yeah.
Beautiful. What's the name of your most recent book?
Well, so I wrote, I co-authored a book on the Pluto mission called Chasing New Horizons with Alan Stern, who's the head of that mission. That's the most recent one.
Right. So we'll hear from you mainly later in the toward the middle of the day, toward late morning. But I wanted to introduce you here today. We're still this window till around 11:30 is Irene and Claudia and Joseph. And Joseph's gotten off again. We had a really hard time with our Zambia connection.
Yeah, I popped in a little early just because I'm enjoying the show, but I'm happy to hang out and listen for a while. It's everybody's sounding wonderful.
Yeah, and it'll be fun to have you on with Kurt Stager. You're both two of the long now kind of guys in my universe, along with Stuart Brand and others. And it's a great and important perspective. So we'll see you in a few minutes, and you can go back to the green room and have some of the. I think we picked the red M&Ms out of the M&Ms, so you don't have to worry about that. Or the champagne should be okay. All right, so we'll see you in a bit, David. And I see our Catskills neighbors, Donna and Rick Nestler, are in the house too. I hope Ernie Seitz is going to come back. He's due on at 11:30. They were having some technical problems this morning too. Mm-hmm. But let's focus a little bit more here on Irene and Claudia, and actually, Andre, do you have something you've written you might want to pop into the mix before we move back to the music?
Yes, my mother is 96. She's in a nursing home in Florida, and I wrote a poem that I realized was about and featured her contemporaries. So this is really for her. It's a dream I had. The poem is called Dreams. On July 28, 1938, Walter Benjamin went to see his friend Bertolt Brecht, who lived in a room at the top of a labyrinth of staircases. Some stairs led upward, others downward. Benjamin found himself standing on a summit looking out across the country. He saw others standing at other heights looking out at the trees of cathedrals. One of these people was seized by vertigo and plunged down. The giddiness spread. Other people plunged from various heights. The feeling seized him too, but Benjamin got a grip on himself. He was visiting Brecht, a thinker, a poet, who would tell him how this building came to be. He might have even built it, a stage set for an epic play, a Greek-sized tragedy with stairs for the choir. He arrived in Brecht's room, nauseated but hopeful. They discussed the inevitable. The communist dream was dead. In the Soviet Union, Stalin had erased the last of their beloved arts, constructivism in poetry, painting, architecture, and philosophy, replacing everything with a hallmark postcard of socialist realism. Happy pioneers with red cravats led joyful dogs to the edges of excavated earth to watch their parents divert rivers and raise dams for electricity to the tune of the most god-awful music. Soviet communism had become kitsch, but the two communists in the room found themselves bound to defend it. Brecht was editor of Das Wort, the German communist newspaper, and Benjamin had seen the last of the Russian avant-garde, shot or sent to Siberia. In the end, Brecht went to Hollywood and Benjamin to his suicide. Last night, after reading Walter Benjamin, I had his dream. The labyrinth I went in, up and down, was just like in his dream, but I grasped that the structure leading up and down and up was in the form of a question mark. It was a brilliant design. The people who plunged down were not giddy, but puzzled. They jumped down into the question mark, hoping for an answer. I was seized by nausea myself and felt the urge to jump, but I did not. I was not visiting Bertolt Brecht or anyone else I knew, but wanted badly to know. The desire to know who it was I was going to see was greater than the delicious desire to jump. I was going to visit, I told myself, the answer. The person's name was the answer, like the Rock or Prince, who changed his pronounceable name into a symbol. I too woke up and thought, man, we live in a huge question mark. A dude called the Answer lives at the top. I hope that unlike me, you get to see this dude. I never got there. I woke up. Overcome your nausea if you can and keep going. One day, who knows?
Pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, these reading Benjamin is great just before sleep, because he will leave you with an image, and then you can take that to your dreams. It's usually continued in the present.
Great. Claudia, do you have one more short tune you can do before we kick into the next round?
I will unmute myself. I do. I have one that I used to play when my daughter was little that I started writing when she was a colicky baby, and I would be trying to rock her to sleep, but then it became more. And I think it was from a tune I wrote back in our old Hudson Valley Musician Alliance days, Andy. So it's called Terms of the Bargain.
Lay down, my darling, daytime is over. Time to close sweet, sleepy eyes. Search for your answers while you are dreaming. I've got my own questions. Why do we hurt those we love? Why is it never enough? Why do we look up to the sky? Why is the grass always green in places we've never seen? Where do our memories go when we die? When we die. When I was younger, I was much wilder, and all that I needed, I knew. And now the years spin by, leaving me questions. The answers are distant and few. Why are we born out of pain? Why do we curse at the rain? If we can't laugh, why do we cry? Why do we pine for love past instead of making love last? And will it all be revealed by and by, by and by? Starry-eyed children long to be grown up, and old folks reach back for their youth. The cost of life's wisdom, the terms of the bargain, cannot be changed or refused. Lay down, my darling, daytime is over, and I will keep watch where you lie. You'll have your answers as soon as you hear them. Your own questions, why?
Thank you, Andy. It's great hearing everybody's songs. I wish I could sing. It might make my heart happy. Thank you.
That's the whole goal here. I just sent it around to a bunch of other people, trying to make sure we spread this joy around. And those who are leaving, as you leave, to make sure you share the link. We're going for another hour here, and anyone who's watching online,
I will
put like you, Carter Brooks, Karen Brooks. Those who are watching online, post it right at the top of your Facebook feeds. Say live for another hour. Share, sing along. Let's get some requests coming in, and now we're moving to a new batch of wonderful people here. So thank you, Irene. Thank you for stopping by to give us some of your great compassion. I've posted that link to that wonderful moment, one of our earliest broadcasts, when you offered some invaluable reflections on where we're at, where this could be a very dark time. It will be dark in many ways, but that doesn't, darkness does not mean you turn off the joy and the compassion. That you can do that all at the same time. It's one of the paths through this mess. So thank you for sharing your joy.
Thank you. We'll see you next time.
All right. And same to you, Claudia Gibson. Have a great day down there. It is Mother's Day, and we're all celebrating our own mothers, and those who are mothers, bravo to you.
Thank you.
None of us would be here if it weren't for mothers. Fathers are kind of more disposable.
Thank you, Andy. Yeah, we're having a group chat from New York to Knoxville to Texas. So thank you.
New York to Knoxville. That sounds like a song.
Write it.
Yeah. All right. God, I've got to write another song. It's been so long. All right. So Claudia, take care. You be well.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
And we're going to now be joined. Let's see if we can get Ernie in here. So Ernie, can you hear us okay, first of all? All right. Ernie and Barbara. Ernie Seitz has Idaho in him, but big chunk of the Hudson Valley since you've been living in this region for a while. And you really are a singing cowboy, as close as anyone can get to that in the modern era. And it's great to have you on the show here. And I know you know Donna and Rick, so you feel free to say hi.
Howdy.
I'll bring David Grinspoon in just to say hi too. We have enough room here for you to not sit there in the green room. David,
hey everybody.
Yeah, David brings this cosmic perspective to us by studying other planets, which have hints of life. So far, we'll never see them up close. And studying the history of our own planet and its dynamics, you can learn a lot about steps we can take to sustain the human adventure. And that's what David focuses on when he's not doing music. And here's Andre checking out Andre, beautiful words too. It's you don't have to worry about singing. Your words sing, Andre Codrescu. It's great that you're here with us. We'd love to hear you again on NPR sometime or wherever you can be. Whoops, sorry. So Ernie, let's try. I know the signal might be limited, but let's try to get you on the air here with the tune from. Where are you? Are you in Brewster or?
Sir, we're living in Brewster, New York. Yeah.
Right, the other end of the county of Putnam.
Idaho to Brewster.
Idaho to Brewster, right?
Yes,
The other end.
60. That's
So
strong.
So let's give it a shot. The signal is not ideal, but I was determined to try. So let's. You have the floor, and if everyone can mute, then that'll help.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you. Good to see everybody. This is an experimental for all of us to do the live stream, but it looks like we got it. We're going to do a song that a lot of people text and email people, and it's nice you can get a lot of business done when you talk to people. And so I hope you enjoy this song called "Call If You Will." Sometimes you need a friend to lean on, so I thought I'd call you up on the phone. Things we have today can be fragile, 'cause by tomorrow they can be long gone. What I'm saying is I really mean it. If I'm on your mind, please let me know. It don't have to be any special reason, even just to say hello. Call if you will. Call if you will. Call if you will. Call if you will. Sometimes in this world full of trouble, when things don't seem very clear, remember that you can call on me in a moment a friend is near. What I'm saying is I really mean it. If I'm on your mind, please let me know. It don't have to be any special reason, even just to say hello. Call if you will. Call if you will. Call if you will. Call if you will. Sometimes a friend you can lean on, so I thought I'd call you up on the phone. Things we have today can be fragile, 'cause by tomorrow they can be long gone. What I'm saying is I really mean it. If I'm on your mind, please let me know. It don't have to be any special reason, even just to say hello. Call if you will. Call if you will. Call if you will. Call if you will. La 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 la.
Beautiful.
I'm glad. Can you still hear me, Andy? Ray,
Yeah,
do
yeah.
this if you can.
I don't think I've ever heard you play that
We
one.
don't
That's
hear
really
you no
nice.
more, but we can. I'm glad you can still hear us.
We hear you. Absolutely.
Thank you very
And Barbara.
much. That's a good
Barbara,
song. We wrote a few years ago.
beautiful harmonies too. Beautiful harmonies.
Sorry, Andy, I can't hear you.
Okay. So just give us a minute.
So
and
what we're going to do to fix this problem is we're going to go offline for a minute. We're going to come right back on again. Okay.
Perfect.
All right. Thank you. But we're going back. We'll be right back.
Definitely come back. Oh, that was awesome. So Donna and Rick, so here we have we've got the Adirondacks, we've got the Catskills, and we've got Washington D.C. in the house. We've got perspectives from paleoclimatology to just good old-fashioned music. Donna, what do you do professionally? I'm trying to remember.
I taught social studies for 33 years.
That counts a lot. Here's to teachers. Wasn't it Teacher Appreciation Week recently?
Yeah, when Cuomo said that, oh yeah, we're going to reimagine education and make it all online. Ugh.
Yeah, boy, it's not the same. And as Karen Brooks pointed out on this program, and actually an expert in the internet was saying, there's so much of the country is still not really online. And so kids who are don't have that privilege are really stuck right now. And especially if you're in a home with only one iPad and the parents need it to find jobs, and the kids' learning is last in line. And then there are other places like in rural Maine where my mother-in-law lives. They've been delivering the lunches to the homes because poor kids, and this is true right here too in the New York area.
Yeah.
Going to school is not just about learning; it's about eating, and that's disrupted as well. You can't eat online. Sure. You can order online, but you can't eat online. So Donna and Rick, and I see Ernie is back. Ernie, maybe Ernie, can we get another song from you just to be sure we get it in because of your technical issues, and then we'll give Donna and Rick a couple of tunes in a row.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's get Ernie on. Ernie and Barbara. Barbara, by the way, your harmonies were great.
Thank you. My pleasure. My pleasure. I'm Ernie solo right now.
If I got to spend time with somebody in this situation we were in, it's Barbara. So, can you all hear me? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
You hear me? Do you hear me? Okay. I'm going to do an old Badge Park poem that's been converted into a song. Do a little cowboy stuff for you here. There are folks that like the city grass, curry smooth and green, choking collars in theaters. Wagons ran on gasoline. But me, it's horse and saddle every day without the change. In the desert sun ablazing on 100 miles of range. Just a riding, desert rippling in the sun. Mountains blue along horizon. I don't envy anyone when I'm riding. When my feet are in the stirrup and my horse is on the bust, from his hoofs lightning splash from a cloud of golden dust. And the bawling of the cattle come drifting down the line. Life then riding would be mighty hard to find. Just a riding, cracking long streaks through the air, stirring up the babies and ripping up those prickly pear when I'm riding. I don't need no art exhibit when the sunset does its best, casting everlasting glory on the mountains of the west. And your operas, they seem foolish when the night bird sings its tune in the desert silver mountain from the touches of the moon. Just a riding, who could envy kings and sires when the coyotes in the valleys are howling at the stars. And I'm riding. When my earthly trails ended, and my final bacon's curled, and the great roundup is finished on the ranch house of the world, I don't want no harps or halos or other dressed up things, but let me ride those starry ranges on a pinto horse with wings. Just riding, nothing could be quite so well as rounding up the sinners that have drifted out of hell. And I'm riding, cracking along there, stirring up the baby cyclone, ripping up prickly pear. And I'm riding. Woo! Let's go riding.
Another one. That was fantastic. Can you hear me okay? You hear me still?
Thank you.
A great tune, which I also have not heard. So that's two tunes from you I have not heard before, and they're both wonderful. So here we are again.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So, okay, let's now turn to the Catskills. So we move from the Brewster end of Putnam County across from where I am over west into the Catskill Mountains, home of all kinds of great stories and tales, and two wonderful musical storytellers,
Thank you.
Donna and Rick.
How you doing, Andy?
Trying to just, do. That's how I'm doing. I'm just doing.
You have inspired me. I actually get up on Sunday mornings and go, what am I going to wear today?
I know. And Rick got a haircut, which is actually, I got a hair. Lisa cut my hair recently, which was
Yeah, looks good.
Yeah. So what you got for us?
Well, we were thinking it is Mother's Day. So we're going to do a couple of songs that our mothers liked. This first one is one that my mother, who is of Irish extraction, always asked for, and I think partially because it had her name in it, Mary. I've got three sisters, all of whom were mothers and were named one way or another connected with the name Mary. So. Oh, Mary, this London's a wonderful sight. There's people here working by day and by night. They don't sow potatoes, nor barley, nor wheat, but there's gangs of them digging for gold in the street. At least when I asked them, that's what I was told. So I just took a hand in that digging for gold. But for all that I found there, I might as well be in the mountains of morn that reach down to the sea. You remember young Peter O'Laughlin, of course. He's over here at the head of the force. I saw him one morning while crossing the Strand, and he held up the traffic with one wave of his hand. And as we stood talking of days that are gone, the whole population of London looked on. But for all his great power, he's lonesome like me, for the mountains of morn that reach down to the sea. Now I see that in writing the wish you expressed as to how the fine ladies of London were dressed. Well, if you'll believe me, when asked to a ball, they don't wear no tops on their dresses at all. I know if you'd see them, you surely would laugh. You can't tell if they're bound for a ball or a bath. But don't go starting them fashions, young Mary McCree, where the mountains, young morn, sweep down to the sea. Now, I've seen England's king from the top of a bus. I never knew him, but he means to know us. And though by the Saxons we once were oppressed, I cheered, God forgive me, I cheered with the rest. But now that he's visited Erin's green shore, we'll be better friends than we've been heretofore. Now that we've got all you want, you can see we're as quiet as the mountains can be. Now there's beautiful girls here, but never you mind, with lovely features nature never designed, and lovely complexions of roses and cream. Young Peter remarked, with regards to the same, that if at these roses you ventured to sip, the color would all come away on your lip. Don't go starting them fashions, young Mary McCree, where the mountains of morn sweep down to the sea. So merry, this London's a wonderful sight. There's people here digging by day and by night.
Bravo. Very sweet.
Thank you.
What a great sound.
I got that from Mary McClatchy a million years ago.
It's a good one.
Well, I'm not sure
That's a
who
good
wrote
one.
it. I'd like to find out.
So let's see if we can maybe sneak one more out of Ernie and Barbara before we get into the next session here. No, I don't want to interrupt your coffee. Wait.
We're enjoying our coffee this morning. Yeah. This is a song that I hope you like this song. We were talking about doing it anyway, so dedicate to our mothers and to all our good friends and to each other. This is obviously another love song. Here we go. Called "You'll Be My Everything." Every time the mountaintops, the flowers feel the cool raindrops. Every time lovers feel their heartbeats throb, you'll be my everything. Every time a child needs a loving hug, every time the eagles need the skies love, every time I felt your touch, you'll be my everything. Oh, 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 you'll be my everything. You'll still be my everything. Every time a songbird sings, you'll be my everything. Every time with the falling tears, every time with the passing of years, every time, oh, you've been there, you'll be my everything. Oh, you'll be my everything. You'll still be my everything. Every time a songbird sings, you'll be my everything. Oh, 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 you'll be my everything. La 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 la. You'll still be my everything. Every time a songbird sings, you'll be my everything.
Beautiful. Really beautiful.
Thank you very much.
It really worked well.
We want you to know that with that last song, we've lost your voices again, but but we can see nobody left. So thank you for hanging in there. We appreciate you all.
Thank you for
so
being
very
with
much.
us. Thank you for being with us, Ernie and Barbara over in Brewster. That was awesome. So I'm going to offer, this is a song I wrote for my wife, but it has no words. It's called A Song for Lisa, and it's just an instrumental. Sorry. The guitar was made in 1927. Sometimes it wakes up slowly. There you go. Thank y'all.
That's beautiful.
Oh, yeah, I messed up a few things, but you know, that's the nature of a good rug has mistakes in it. They say the best. I love that Oriental rugs, they call them, had mistakes sewn into them intentionally because only God is perfect.
That's how we know you're not an android.
Yeah, that's right.
You
Well,
just
you would
passed-
know.
You just passed the Turing test.
Oh my God. So yeah, so let's talk a little bit here. You two guys have a very special perspective on stuff that even I have a hard time with sometimes. Pulling back, it's like that, those layers. You know, there's the now, there's this year, there's next week, there's the 100-year scale. Patrick Keyes at Colorado State did a really good paper on Anthropocene risk recently, last year, that I've been tweeting ferociously because it captures the importance of considering things now in the context of what we know about history. That if you don't do that layered look, then you're missing so many things. You think that something is a climate problem when it's a social problem, or the vice versa, and it's that is a rare capacity. Kurt, you've written a couple of books that have that long past perspective. You know, so just getting away from your music for a second, when you think about the pandemic, I'd love to have each of you weigh in just briefly. These Sunday sessions are not about solutions and, you know, social distancing policy. They're about sharing from our hearts and souls as much as our brains. But at the same time, I got you here. So let's dig in a tiny bit. So again, Kurt, maybe first, how have you been thinking about biology, climate, social development lately, or if you have stuck that into your schedule much?
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of times I'll talk about these sorts of things on an intellectual level, but being involved in this whole global pandemic scene makes it really personal. As I said earlier, my mother's living with us and I'm immune compromised and all that kind of stuff too. So
Right.
have it festering in your gut at the same time really makes you rethink a lot of things. And I still agree with most of the stuff. I think the long-term perspective is really important. And I think one thing is that to see us get dragged into something that affects the whole human population like this unexpectedly, really, I mean, for most of us, breaking into our daily routines, it reminds us that we are embedded in history and a larger planet where these things have happened through the ages. We sort of filed away in little corners of our brains, and here's one right in our own lives.
Yeah.
So it didn't really destroy the way I saw the past and future and things like that. What it does is sort of makes it more real for me. And I think the deep past and the big picture really is a viable emotional refuge for me too, you know, to say, hey, I'm not the only one, you know, we're not the only time this has happened.
Yeah. So David, you know, what have you been thinking lately? This again, it still boggles me that it was just in November, essentially, that some virus did a little leapfrog thing in a way that hadn't been in the human biome, the environment we experience, and now, and as recently as it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, the first mortality occurred in the Amazon rainforest to a Yanomami Indian. So it went from China all around through our global connectedness. You know, last year was someone told me last July was peak aviation. There were 250,000 flights on one 24-hour period. And obviously we've plunged since then. So David, what does all this feel like to you now? Is, you know, just weigh in.
Well, you know, I mean, as a human being experiencing it like everyone else, I'm freaked out and worried and, you know, trying to make sense of it. As an astrobiologist who's thought about, you know, the sort of cosmic implications of the Anthropocene, there's a couple sort of competing thoughts. One is to always remind oneself in the perspective of deep time that whatever's happening now is just a blip, and it's hard to imagine that in deep time it's significant. And yet the sort of paradox, as we've talked about with the Anthropocene, is that arguably it is a kind of planetary turning point. Our influence is in a way significant, and what Carl Sagan called the great demotions of humans being decentered in time and in space. Well, with the Anthropocene, are we giving ourselves a great promotion and saying, oh, we're a big part of the story? So that whole thing is paradoxical, anyways. And then asking, is what's happening right now with this pandemic and in any way significant on a planetary scale? Well, it's hard to say, because in terms of human history, one could imagine it as a turning point in some way that we can't quite see yet. I mean, these events of this magnitude, looking back from the future, you could say, well, that's when people started behaving in this way, and it can have consequences. And in fact, what I'm doing this weekend, other than this, which is sort of more fun in a way, what we're doing right now, is I'm reading final papers for the class I taught at Georgetown this semester on predicting the 21st century. And one of the 3 options that the students had for a final paper was to write a retrospective from later on in the 21st century, looking back on the COVID-19 pandemic and how it changed history. And so I'm reading, and most of the students chose that option. So I'm reading through this whole stack of papers, ostensibly written in 2050 or 2070, saying, well, starting with, COVID-19 in 2020, this, and some of them are optimistic, and they talk about how it actually catalyzed us thinking in terms of global systems and expert advice, and actually ultimately helped us to deal with climate change. And some of them are pessimistic and talk about how, it catalyzed the rise of authoritarianism and the surveillance state. And, it's all over the map. And so, but one does have the sense that this is a potential turning point, and there's just this wide range of possibilities. And so we at least have the option of trying to push for the turning in the direction that we think will lead to a good Anthropocene.
Wow. I would love it if you could canvass your students who did those envisioning ones and invite them, if they're not just going off for the summer, to just figure out their path. If they had time, it would be cool to do one of these sessions where students read some passages from their visions and we discuss them. I'm doing this Wednesday with a group of scholars focused on ecological economics. We're doing a live discussion. We've done a couple of them where it's sort of a scholar or student driven. That could be really cool.
Oh, neat. Yeah, let's talk about that. And I probably some of them are gone for summer vacation, but I don't even know what that means anymore. They can't have gone too far.
I know. It's what a wild moment, huh? That's really powerful to hear. So do you have a song, David Grinspoon, that you want to share?
There is one I was thinking of. Wait, where's my magic guitar pick? Oh, here it is. I have this Taylor Swift 1989. I don't know if you can see that. It's a Taylor Swift 1989 guitar pick somebody gave me. So
wow.
And I don't know. I'm not even sure I know any Taylor Swift songs, but I just thought that was a cool thing to have. So I needed to show you. This is kind of weird, but I thought I'd do. There's a Bob Dylan song it's been in my head the last couple of weeks, and it does feel sort of appropriate. But we're going to do kind of a weird cover of it because I've been listening to a lot of African guitar music.
And by the way, just before you go on, I want to. There's a wonderful weird juxtaposition right now because Karen Brooks is showing us around her lammery, basically her paddock there, where she's got the baby lambs, baby sheep out in Massachusetts.
Awesome! I love it.
So that's a nice counterpoint to the introduction of your tune.
Yeah, totally. I love it. I'll try to interject some lamb noises into my what can only loosely be called singing, but so I've been listening to some African guitar music and was sort of fiddling around with trying to sort of do this Dylan song with I wouldn't say in a Zimbabwean style because it's not, but maybe inflected by that influence a little bit in the sort of rhythmic thing. So I'm not sure how this is going to go, but let's give it a shot. another lifetime, one of toil and blood. When blackness was a virtue and the road was full of mud, I came in from the wilderness, a creature void of form. Come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm. And if I pass this way again, you can rest assured I always do my best for her, of that I give my word. In a world of still death and men who are fighting to be warm, come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm. Not a word was spoke between us, there was a little risk involved. Everything up to that point had been left unresolved. Try imagining a place where it's always safe and warm. Come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm. I was burned out from exhaustion, buried on the trail, poison in the bushes and blown out on the trail, hunted like a crocodile, ravaged in the corn. Come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm. Suddenly I turned around and she was standing there with silver bracelets on her wrist and flowers in her hair. She walked up to me so gracefully and took my crown of thorns. Come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm. Now there's a wall between us, something that's been lost. I took too much for granted, I got my singles crossed. In a world of still-eyed death and men who are fighting to be warm. Come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm. Well, the deputy walks on hot nails and the preacher rides about. But nothing really matters much, it's doom alone that counts. And the one-eyed undertaker, he blows a few to home. Come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm. I've heard newborn babies wailing like a morning dove, and old men with broken teeth stranded without love. Do I understand your question, man? Is it hopeless and forlorn? Come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm. Well, I'm living in a foreign country, but I'm bound to cross the line. Beauty walks a race's edge, someday I'll make it mine. If I could only turn back the clock to when God and her were born. Come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm.
Yeah.
Fuck. Absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
Oh, I love that
Oh,
treatment
man.
of it.
Great. It does have that Afro feel.
Holy
Yeah, I
moly.
mean, it's like you listen to enough of it, and then it sort of just like kind of gets into the way you start finding yourself picking.
Yeah.
That's just, I mean, that's just a great version.
Well, thank you very much.
I can't wait for David Ross to hear it, because he's sung that many times in our little Breakneck Ridge review ensemble. But the way you did it there, I could see us going for that take.
Cool.
Now you have a band or not right now? Are you?
So I have one that's very dormant. Well, everything's dormant right now, but
Yeah.
but the thing, I was actually starting to play regularly with a new band here in DC, a reggae band of some people that live here in Northwest DC, a couple of really, really great players. And I was really enjoying it. And we started a regular Tuesday night gig at this local Jamaican restaurant. And then after the second one, the next Tuesday, it was like, well, we better not play because they're saying there's this pandemic coming. And then, of course, since then, that's it. So we had just started to get this thing going. So I'm hoping that once we can go out and play again, those guys will still be interested.
Wow. So I have, there's a note that came in from Owen Gaffney over, I'm not sure if he's still in Stockholm. He says, hi, David, Andy, and all. Absolutely wonderful to hear you all. If anyone ever asked me where I was when Prince died, admittedly, no one has ever asked me, then I can say in an Oslo bank vault with Andy Revkin. I remember that moment. Yeah, there was like one of those weird hip European meetings, on some sustainability question in a bank vault in a restaurant or something that used to be a bank.
I never would have thought to ask Owen where he was when Prince died. So I'm really glad that he answered.
Owen, we're thinking of you, and we're thinking of future Earth. This is all about the future of Earth and the present day. As David said a minute ago, I think it was David, or was it, maybe it was Kurt, that, there's this weird balance we have to take as we're living in history of being active and present in the moment, dealing with our own vulnerabilities and whatever you can do around you in your community, and thinking in the long haul about, well, what kind of economy do we want to build out of here? The session we're doing on Wednesday, just to give it a little more depth, is about the care economy, and essentially these young scholars in ecological economics, inspired by Herman Daly and others, are zooming in on, is there a way to actually value, in the literal sense, the contributions made, whether it's by a woman who stays home and does the work, of maintaining a functional family, or the caregivers around us who are completely exposed, underpaid, underprotected. How do you actualize that in an economy? And how do you do it in a moment in time when we're all, to some extent, just wanting to rebuild, to restart? I recently have been tweeting, we have to get rid of the prefix re, because anything that points us back to brittleness, back to inequity, doesn't feel like a structure that's going to be suitable. But how do you break the path dependency? That's how do we do that? It's really freaking hard. And I still find it an open question, which is why I'm doing this Columbia. That's why this platform exists. It's mostly interrogatory. Here, occasionally, it's celebratory, meaning connecting from a distance and making music and finding meaning. But it's really interrogatory. I've had some amazing people on here the last month since we started March 15th. National Intelligence Council analysts, great sustainability scientists, people running a volunteer food bank in Bhopal, India, you all. And it's mostly asking questions. And most of the answers are very incremental and exploratory. And I would like to think we can pull this forward a little bit. Alden Meyer asks if I can put a link for Wednesday's session in the chat. I will, Alden, or I'll put a place where you can find it. Man, it's great to see you. Alden has been a guide and a beacon of sanity in the climate talks for me for literally since the earliest days, in the early 90s. Let's see, Sustain Live. So you'll see, I'm going to post a link here. J.MP, Sustain What Live is kind of the homepage for this enterprise. And that'll give you the information you need for that one on May 13th. Kurt, do you have another song? We have another 15 minutes or so. And sure. What comes to mind? And I don't know. Actually, David, I'm not sure if you've ever seen Kurt's glowing banjo. I'm not sure if that's the one that it illuminates. Yeah, the Illuminati.
Oh my
cool. God. Oh man, do we all need that or not? I don't know.
That's an Anthropocene banjo for sure.
Totally. So, Kurt, what's on your musical mind?
Yeah. In addition to teaching climate science, I also teach evolution. So I'm used to talking about things that half the people you talk to don't believe in. But I've taught evolution a lot longer, and one of the traditions we've had in the class is actually to bring people into the classroom who disagree with the science, not to give them equal, validity scientifically, but just to expose students to respectful disagreements and productive dialogues with people you don't agree with. So I invite friends of mine who are creationists to come into the class and listen, and then they give their perspective, and the students they respond really well to it, and they don't get a lot of that modeling in our culture right now, how to respect the science, and basically come away with saying, you can believe whatever you want when you're done with this evolution class, but I want you to understand the science. So anyway, one of the things that I come away with, having also come from religious traditions and church camps and things, is they've got all the good music. Like, science needs the arts too, and we just don't have that long a tradition of that. So I've taken it upon myself to take an ecstatic religious song, the Hallelujah Chorus, and reword it to be about evolution and our place in the unity of all life. So those of you that know the Hallelujah Chorus, I would love to hear a choir do this sometime. But anyway, it's all in good humor, like in our classroom. And so I'll share with you here. I'll leave the lights on if I can get them to come on again. Yeah, there they are. So I used to sing this in high school in choir. I started out as a tenor and then a bass, so I know half of the parts. So here we go. We'll see if we can hear the words. Evolution, 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 evolution. 4 billion years of random mutation. Evolution, 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 evolution. 4 billion years of random mutations. That's evolution. The microbe's early world, it has become 5 kingdoms, 3 domains of earthly life, and genes shall change forever and ever, and genes shall change forever and ever. Things with wings forever and ever, and dinosaurs. Evolution, evolution, and genes shall change forever, forever and ever. Things with wings and dinosaurs. Things with wings and dinosaurs. Genes shall change forever, forever and ever. Forever and ever, forever and ever. Evolution, 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 evolution. That evolution.
Holy moly.
But a choir would be willing to take that on and not be afraid of being zapped by lightning.
Kurt,
Absolutely awesome.
Kurt, Steve Martin has a song, Atheists Don't Have No Songs. Check that one out.
Not any longer.
Alden Meyer says, bravo. And there you go, man. It's, here's an interesting perspective. Yanni Tsili has been on here quite a bit, a very religious person, who says evolution science doesn't negate creationism, since evolution can totally be part of the creation process. Now, there's all different kinds of interpretations of that interface. So the Pope has made it clear that within a reading of Catholicism as his, this all makes sense too. There's Catherine Hayhoe, who's one of the most public climate scientists, who's married to an evangelist preacher, and who has found a way to talk about these things in the same sentence. And there's also lots of deep uncertainty. I don't characterize myself as an atheist. I'm an agnostic. I mean, I just literally don't understand the world. I understand science pretty well. I'm not nearly as dug in on the physics as
also,
David or you.
If I can briefly interject as an astrobiologist, I like to point out that evolution actually does not even claim to answer the question of the origin of life. It tells us,
Right.
it describes in a wonderful way, once we have life, how we get other life. But the origin of life, we think we have some understanding of it in terms of chemistry and mechanistic processes, but there's no way that any honest, knowledgeable science can say we've solved the problem of the origin of life.
No.
So if you want to leave some, gaps in there, there's one for you.
Yeah, actually, I think I consulted with you, David, when I was writing our last book on the history of weather and climate knowledge. And the first chapter was on how did we get an atmosphere, and the second chapter was on how did we get the oceans. And man, you go back and some of it's written in a fairly straightforward way, like this happened, and then the moon struck and it blew off the atmosphere. And then you dig in, it's like, ooh, this is actually much more fuzzy than when you think about the evidence base. It's like some zircon crystals in Australia, and that's about it. So we're surrounded by mystery.
Yeah, I mean, the ancient Earth is really an exoplanet, and we're still trying to find ways to observe it and figure it out.
Let's hope we preserve some of those ways to observe it. We're going to be in a financial crunch. So Donna and Rick, could you fit in what you've been hanging in here? And I'd love to get one more tune out of you before we close things out. We have another 7 or 8 minutes, so maybe a quickie, and then we could make a final round here of observations.
Well, Andy, like you, my mom introduced music to me, and she made sure all her children had music lessons. And this was one of her favorite songs because of the last verse that talks about hanging.
Oh boy.
I'm not tired of the wind. I'm not weary of the sea. But she's probably had a belly full of a damned old coot like me. So I'm going ashore. She's bound for better days. I'll see her topsail sailing by as she comes on down the wave. I said, Rosie, get my Sunday shoes. Gertie, get my walking cane. We'll take another walk to see old Alice sail again. Oh, I wish I had a nickel for each man I used to know. Little 3 cords of timber in a half an hour or so. Then we'd raise the sails by hauling instead of donkeying around. And I'd be the poorest coaster man this side of Edgartown. I said, Rosie, get my Sunday shoes. Gertie, get my walking cane. And we'll take another walk to see old Alice sail again. Any fool can run an engine. It takes brains to work a sail. And I've never seen a steamer make much good out of a gale. You can go and pay your taxes on the ration gas you get. But at least to me the wind is free and we haven't run out yet. I said, Rosie, get my Sunday shoes. Gertie, get my walking cane. And we'll take another walk to see old Alice sail again. If I ever get back to her, I'll treat her just the same. Jabber when I want to, boys, and sail in the freezing rain. And I'll park old Alice on the beach and go dancing into town. For a man who's fit for hanging surely never will get drowned. I said, Rosie, get my Sunday shoes. Gertie, get my walking cane. And we'll take another walk to see old Alice sail again. Thank you.
we do have a
Wow.
couple of things going on, though, that we understand that you mentioned the digital Great Hudson River Revival coming up.
I did, and today also isn't today a Toshi Seeger
Mother's Day
Appreciation Day?
Yeah, Mother's Day tribute to Toshi. That's going to be taking place on Facebook Live today. It actually started the same time you started here today.
Half an hour earlier.
Actually, half an hour earlier. So it's going straight through until 10 p.m. Don and I will be playing at 8 o'clock.
That's great, and I'm putting a note here. Hold on. There, go to clearwater.org to help the sloop sail on. There's lots to do there to support the boat, which is in dire straits, like so many nonprofit entities. And it's so important, both locally and globally. The Clearwater sloop is just a beacon of both the value of environmental education and the idea that a river can return from destitution and pollution to function and wonder, as the Hudson has done, with a lot more work to go. Thank you for reminding us.
Well, it can. And I just wanted to tell you the first, I'm giving you the exclusive here, Andy. This is a first list of people who are definitely going to be playing at the revival. Tom Chapin, you'll recognize a bunch of these people from actually being on this. Then there's Guy Davis, Betty and the Baby Boomers, myself, and Rick Polari is the Ricks. Bob Reed and Judy Jager, Matt Kartsonis, Bob Killian, Matt Turk, RJ Storm,
Great.
Joe Nickaroo, and the Scooches. Well, they're actually going straight with the Scooches these days.
David Burns.
And then there's David Jake Burns, Matt Turk, and Lynn Hardy, and Jay and Molly are also going to be there along
Fantastic.
with. Yeah, so
and you
looking forward to it.
And Break That Bridge Review. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So we're right at the end here, and I want to give the last word to Kurt Steger and to his mother, who I see has joined us. Happy Mother's Day to the mother of Kurt Steger and the other siblings. It's great to see you here, and these are hard times for anybody, but for the generation who've been on this planet longest, it's particularly unnerving to be faced by this level of uncertainty late in life, and both physical and for that sense of legacy that we all want to leave. So Kurt, and what's your mom's name?
Asha. Mother's name is Asha.
Asha, great. So I'd love to give you the final word going forward. Next Sunday, every Sunday we do this, and it's great to have this voice from the Adirondacks too.
Yeah. So we're just really glad to have Mom with us, and she's the reason I'm doing music and supported me through all the years. So happy Mother's Day in honor of everybody's moms, whether they're with us or not.
Thank you, and happy Mother's Day to everybody and their mothers.
Wow.
All right.
Thank you so much for that. Well, then I'd like to close out with a little bit of just a boilerplate, you might call it. Sustain What? This project, this webcast, is a global online conversation identifying solutions to the complicated, shape-shifting, and epic challenges of humanity's great acceleration. A prime focus is making sense of and getting the most out of the planet's fast-forward information environment, the one Earth system changing faster than the actual environment. Although I'll tell you, this virus is giving competition. We have the infodemic and the pandemic, and dealing with the infodemic is as important as dealing with the virus itself. This webcast is produced as part of my work building Columbia University's new Earth Institute initiative on communication and sustainability. And the task, as I see it, is how do you make information matter, which is that's just 3 short words, make information matter. But boy, does it seem to be a momentous grand challenge. For the time being, these lessons will be focused on mitigating the unfolding social and environmental, social and economic disruption and devastation driven by the global spread of COVID-19. But we will dip into other subjects and solutions when the time is right. Thank you all guests for being here today. those who are regulars and the newcomers earlier, Ernie Seitz and Barbara, wonderful harmonies. Claudia Gibson, who's been here frequently, Rick and Donna Nestler, David Burns, who was able to pop in and offer some great new tunes, and David Ross, and Karen Brooks even showed us her lambs cavorting in Western Massachusetts, and on we go. So this Wednesday is the next scheduled session, which is on ecological economics. How can we build systems going forward out of this momentous jolt, what some call the Great Pause, which is another punctuation mark in that sentence David Grinspoon rattled off earlier. Other ways to grow, to build better going forward than we have so far. So it's Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And it's a session, it's kind of like a takeover of my website by some young scholars at McGill University, University of Waterloo, and others. And that'll be very exciting. Go to j.mp/sustainwhatlive to learn more, which is, I thought I posted this somewhere, but just Google for Revkin, Sustain What, and Columbia, and you'll find stuff. So that's it for today. And enjoy Mother's Day. Go for a walk wherever you are. Be social from a distance. And on we go.
Happy Mother's Day to Lisa.
I'll be passing that around.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Care.